Flat design. Definition, examples, flat animations, history, skeuomorphism, and more. Flat design can't be left out of this course because it seems to be just about everywhere these days. You can't mention web design without somebody shouting out flat design before you finish your sentence. It's that big of a deal. What is flat design? Flat design refers to a style where design elements are simple, orientated towards functionality, where drop shadows, gradients, and layer styles in general aren't used. It has a crisp feeling and it's usually 2D. It's a take on minimalistic design but with a twist. In general, it features big sans serif fonts, flat custom graphics, generous spacings, and a colour scheme that's based on big contrasts. Let's take a look at a few examples, even though I'm sure you're quite familiar with it. CaramelBudgie.com. As you can see, this follows all the rules. We have a big sans serif headline, several illustrations made in the same flat style, and a faded pink, I'd say, for the background. Notice the cream desk too. There's no wood pattern on it, no shadows, no extra details. Also, there's a lot of space between each section of the website to convey a feeling of openness. The icons in this section follow the exact same design principles as the ones up top. Speaking of which, let's go back to the hero section. I want to tackle this potential question from the get-go. I said there are no gradients, drop shadows, or layer styles in general. But if we take a look at the lamp, we'll see... Well, it's not a shadow per se, but it's a light emitted from the lamp. An even better example is the shelf, which clearly has several shadows on the edges. So which is it, with or without shadows? The answer is this. Shadows like the one you see here are fine, drop shadows aren't. So if you were to take this element and put a default drop shadow from the Layer Styles panel, it would definitely break this design style. With that out of the way, let's see another example. Alchemy-digital.co.uk. This is a prime case of flat design. It's a beautiful website that shows us flat design doesn't have to be boring, pale or faded. Those are things that people whisper around corners, by the way. With the use of strong custom graphics and big contrasts, you get an immediate reaction from the user. Great font use in the headline and sub-headline, the suits are great, and while we move along, we see each section looks lovely. Yellow background, black text, it works brilliantly here. Underneath, we have the same situation, a type of red background with black text over it. It creates a big impact, it's very easy to read, and it gets the point across. This is the essence of flat design. It conveys the message without any hesitations, without any distractions or unnecessary decorations. It's a strong design style that surely has its place in modern web design. Let's also notice the animation in this site. This is a technique designers are using more and more to stand out from the crowd. Flat design loves movement, it makes the whole site feel alive. We can refresh the site to see the suits in the hero area move. Or we can just scroll over to this digital strategy section and we can see the solution bubbling. This is great, it really is, because it adds so much personality and it makes the site memorable. Unfortunately, we can't represent any movement in our designs without doing some extra work. The idea is you can use the animation panel in Photoshop and then save your file as a GIF. This way, both the coder and the client can better see your ideas without having them imagine it. I won't be covering animation work in Photoshop because it's not the object of this course, but it's something you may want to consider down the road. If you're familiar with the Adobe suite, you probably know that Photoshop isn't the best tool for animating things. You're much better off using After Effects, yet the animation panel still does a pretty good job for basic stuff. Animation keeps people engaged with the website. When they see a button shaking for a few seconds before settling into place, it really impresses them. I think it brings the inner child out of us. People enjoy flat animations because most of them are quite simple. That's not to say they're crude, on the contrary. Most of them are quite refined, yet the particular colour scheme you have to use makes the end result look playful and friendly. And at any time you can connect to your user where you can generate an emotional response. Well, that's going to be great for that website. I'd also like to point out that we're out of the Stone Age web design-wise. CSS3 is great for animating things, even if you simply use transitions. It's also supported by most browsers out there with very few exceptions. Also, the W3C just fully embraced HTML5. This happened on the 28th of October 2014, so things are moving along. I know this has less to do with Photoshop, and I'm not that passionate about coding either, but it's definitely something you should write down on your to-do list: flat animations and the means to achieve it. Okay, another factor that contributed to its booming success is the fact that it goes hand in hand with responsive design. It's far easier to make a flat design work well on any resolution. As you're probably aware, certain design elements, say an icon with loads of realistic details, shadows, lighting effects, the works, doesn't scale well when you resize it. It requires significantly more effort on both parts for the designer and the coder. By stripping all that away, we end up with something far easier to work with. So, by having a streamlined workflow, more and more people could get into coding and subsequently responsive design. It also helps load things faster, since most flat sites aren't as resource-heavy as regular websites. You can control lots of aspects of the design by using pure CSS code. The difference is night and day, and there are statistics that show us flat design equals in faster loading speeds. How did flat design come up? Design trends come and go. That's the first thing you already know from the fashion industry. I won't get into details because they won't help you design better. What you do need to know is that Windows made it mainstream with the Metro interface. Not everybody loved it, but lots of people took notice of it. Apple pushed it through in iOS 7 and basically forced users to like it with their new interface. It was highly discussed, and big designers shook their head in disappointment upon seeing the reinvented iPhone interface under flat design. Nowadays, people have accepted it for the most part, yet both users and designers still crave what we had before. And that was skeuomorphic design. A bit hard to pronounce, but the idea was simple: create everything as realistic as possible. So if you had a voice recording app, you'd create a big, shiny, highly detailed microphone that looked like the real deal. You had a stats app, you create a realistic dial icon, and you'd spend hours trying to get the lighting right. A lot of people feel we're missing out, but flat isn't the default go-to style. It's an option you can take or leave it on the table. Clients are asking for it, but I don't think it's the established route. Not yet. I believe some sites or businesses are better suited to use this particular style. Others are difficult to pull off. So don't try to become a flat specialist in order to get ahead. I don't think it's something you should bet your house on. I'm talking about normal websites. For mobile sites, it's a different thing, but we'll get into that too. So skeuomorphism is very much in style if you manage to pull it off. You won't see too many clients turn down amazing designs like the ones you see on the screen right now. But these take a world of effort, and if you don't know how to manage your business relationship with your client, you might be in for a lot of extra work. I believe this is one of the problems regarding flat design. Previously, we, as designers, all looked at designs like this, and we considered them our final destination, our source of inspiration. We worked on our skills so we could produce something in the same region of quality. That took years of hard work. Now I'm afraid designers might lose focus and subsequently practice skeuomorphism less. It's still early to sound the alarm, yet from my point of view that's one of the things we need to look out for. My suggestion is you keep working on those shiny microphones. Flat design is a style you have to understand and be able to execute correctly. And that's what we're going to focus on. And I'd like to point out again that flat design makes things easier. Unless you're a veteran designer, it's probably not likely you can execute custom graphics that look like this. The amount of skill required is huge. With flat design, you can break everything down to simple shapes. Just look at the first site we saw. Almost everything there is either a rectangle, a circle, or a line. This makes it much more approachable for us to create a great-looking design like Alchemy Digital. Break things down into simple shapes, put enough time and effort into it, and you'll get there. Lastly, I want to point out that Android L is going for something that's called material design. From the looks of it, it's going to be a variation on flat design. This is great for users because it simplifies and significantly improves user experience on mobile devices. Depending on when you watch this course, you might see material design live on your Android phone, or you can take a look at this presentation they have up and running. From a graphical standpoint, I absolutely love it, and it seems to fit apps like a glove. I believe this is where this style truly shines, and this is something you can get really excited for. I've been working on Android apps for quite a few years, and from what I've seen live so far, the design is great, lovely on the eye and easy to use. Flat design was a natural move from Web 2.0. Material design is just a step away from flat. So in the design world, things are moving along, and I believe this is a great time to jump on this design train. There are lots of opportunities and lots of things you can specialize in. Okay, enough about that. Let's go over some things you have to look out for in flat design.